I'm going to code an image generator with OpenAI and Angular. Did you know that OpenAI offers an images API, which you can use to create images completely from scratch, just based on some text input? Even though this API is still in beta, it works quite good. In this very first version, we're only going to focus on one specific feature, which is that the user can type in some text and that OpenAI will generate some images based on the user input. But keep in mind that the OpenAI Images API is also capable of editing already existing images and creating variations of existing images. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to create a new Angular project with the Angular CLI. So I have the Angular CLI already installed. We can create a new Angular project with ng-new. I'm going to give it the name image generator. And just for this demo purpose, I'm going to add the properties minimal and the skip test. This command will generate a new Angular project for us without tests. I would like to set up some routing, and I'm going to choose SCSS as the CSS style. Okay, so the Angular project is generated. The next thing I want to do is add TailwindCSS to the project. I can do this with npm install, npm install, save the TailwindCSS post CSS in the auto prefixer. And I'm going to initialize the Tailwind CSS, which will add the Tailwind config JavaScript file to the project. I will open the project in WebStorm. I will open up the Tailwind config file and add the line that I copied earlier to the content part. Okay, cool. The next step is to add these lines to the styles.css file. And then, okay, we can start up the server and test if everything works as. I'm going to copy this test file, or this test h1 first into the app component. Cool. Then we can start up the local development server. So the Angular Live development server has started. So we'll open up localhost. And the styling is working and hello world is shown. The next thing I want to do is create some kind of structure for the application. So I'm going to generate all of the components and the service that we will need. So let's start with creating a smart component, which will be the base of our image generator page. So ng generate component, and in a folder called components, in a subfolder called smart, and I will call the component itself image generator. I want it to be a standalone component because I'm using Angular 15, and I want to skip the test. Okay, cool. So now I basically want to do the same thing, but for two dumb components, because the application is going to consist of prompt and some kind of image gallery. So I will create components my gallery and alone And then I want to do the same thing, but for a prompt component, which will hold our prompt. And then, of course, we have to communicate with the backend. So I will create a service for that. Generate service. And I'm going to put it in a folder called data access. And the service itself will have the name of image generator. And I'm going to skip the tests from generating us. So let's start with removing the hello world and adding the image generator component to the app routing module. Path everything and then load component. I'm going to load in the image generator component. Okay, cool. That works. Should now see image generator works. Okay, good. So what we first are going to do is make the basic layout of the image generator component and the parent component. Let's say we want to have div. In the div we have the app prompt. And we have the app gallery. Okay, so prompt works and gallery. Let's first start off with the prompt. So for the prompt, we want to have a look at ChatGPT. Already opened it here. So one of the reasons that I wanted to use Tailwind is because in ChatGPT they use it as well. So we can just have a look over there how they create the prompt component. So if we have a look in the HTML, we can see that I have a form with two divs, and in the last div is a text area and a button. I'm just going to recreate that. Or can I copy this whole thing? That should suffice, I guess. Let's see how it looks like. Okay. Hello. Okay, the prompt is done. Ooh. Well, the layout of the prompt is done. Okay. Can remove the styles attribute here. And the next thing I want to do is add the reactive forms, or import the reactive forms API, reactive forms, and the forms module. Cool. So what do we need? We need a form. Cool. With a prompt indeed, which is going to be of type string or null. By the way, I'm using GitHub Copilot, so for those of you who haven't tried it out yet, please try it out. It makes your life a lot easier. So now let's the form group to the form tag, form, and let's add the form control to the text area, form dot control dot prompt cool. Our button should be a submit button. So let's do that. Type is submit. And then we can add the ng submit event emitter here, ng submit, which will trigger a method which we can call submit, which takes no parameters. Okay, create a method. Going to add the public and the return type. And what I want to do now is I want to emit to the parent component when there is a new prompt value. So let's add the output public read only. Let's call this prompt added. No. Or prompt. Now let's call this prompt new event emitter type string. And then we can check if this form is valid, and when the value of prompt exists, then we emit the value, and afterwards we also reset the form. Okay, that's looking good. Now let's add the event emitter listener to the parent component. So let's open up the image generator component. Here we can add prompted. We'll call a method called prompt, which has an event. The event is our prompt, so our text input. Add public and void because we don't return anything, and we're just going to console log the event for now, or the value. So let's see if that's working. Open the Chrome DevTools in the console tab, and if we type something in here, something like hello, and click on the send button, then we should get hello in the console log. So it is working. Cool. I think the next thing we should do is fetch the images from the API or from our future API. So in order to do that, we can do something like this. We already have the service generated, so let's load that in. Image generator inject image generation service. Image generator service. Okay, cool. And I want to make this a bit reactive, just to show you that you don't always have to code imperative. And when you start thinking more reactive, some situations get easier as well. So for this, I think I need a behavior subject for the prompt. So let's create a prompt behavior subject, and I like to add $2 at the end of the name of the subject, so it is more clear that I'm working with a subject. And then let's create a observable from this as well. Create a private read-only prompt. Thank you, GitHub Copilot. And then in the prompt method, we can just call the next method of the prompt behavior subject. Okay. We can test this out by doing something like this. ngIf prompt images for so if this is working, when we enter a prompt, click on the submit button, then it should show the text requesting images for, and then the text of our prompt. Let's make the prompt observable public. And I want to request a picture of a cute dog. And as soon as I click on the submit button, it shows requesting images for a cute dog. But I enter it. So I might add a key on enter on the text area as well. So when we click on enter after typing, the event will emit as well. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, if we do a key up dot enter, we can call the onSubmit method. That should be it. Test it out. Doggy, requesting images for cute doggy. And now that we have the prompt observable, we can easily request all of the images when a new value is emitted to the prompt behavior subject. I think we can do it with something like this. Public read only images observable, and then we will listen on the prompt observable, and I'm going to do a pipe, and when a new value on the prompt comes in, I'm going to do a switch map value, which is the text that the user has typed in, and here we can double check if there is a value. If there's no value, then we return an observable with an empty array. Otherwise, we will return images, which comes from the image generator. This method doesn't exist yet, so we might do that right now. Let's add this method to the image generator service. Get images. This is a public method, and it will return observable type string array. I will need the HTTP client probably. Read only. Okay, and then we can return this .http client .get, return a string array. Here we can type in, I will hard code the URL of the API for now. Run it on port 3333 /API / images. Okay. Now we have the images the images observable here. And we'll probably want to pass the images to the gallery. Gallery will need a images input. Which again is going to be a string array, because that is what we get from the API, or that is what I assume that we will get from the API. Gallery works. For now, I will just loop over the images. Image ng4 let images source will be the image itself. We will not add a alt for this demo application. We will not add a track by function, but always best practice to add a track by function for performance reasons. So the app gallery is done for now as well. Maybe I can add a div already around it so we can show the images in a row. Div with class something like flex row flex wrap, because by default no wrap. And let's add a small gap between the images. So our gallery component is done as well. We can make this code a little bit cleaner with the view model principle, which is basically we're going to combine all of our observables that are used in the template, and we are going to put it in one observable, which we call view model. So let's do that right now. We will make this public read only view model, and we can combine all of the observables with combine latest and late, and then the prompt observable and the images observable can go in. And to make it easier to work with, we can map this array to an object. Prompt and images prompt and images here. And import the map operator. Uses view model, for example, on this div. VM as async as VM. And then we can use it like this prompt. And then vm.prompt is there, then requesting images for text, and we can change this one to vm.images, and then we can make the prompt and the images observable private again. Cool. Okay, we still get an error here. Can we fix this? Oh, the image generator service. No provider for HTTP. I think we have to import the HTTP module in the app module. The client module. Okay, the error is fixed. So now when we type in dog, click enter or click on the submit button here, then it forms a GET request to the API, but we get a connection refused because obviously API doesn't exist yet. So our front end is done for now. So let's start on the API itself. We are going to set up a simple Express server. Let's get started. So I'm just going to open up the IDE and create a index.js file in the root of the Angular project. When you create a real life project, please separate the backend and the frontend a bit more than here, but for this demo application, I think it will suffice to do it like this. So we need a Express application. So with Google, Express server basic. We can copy this. So this is the most basic implementation of the Express server that we can do. So what I want to do first is install the OpenAI dependency and the course dependency, because we will need those. I will open up my terminal again. I'm still in the correct folder of the project. Install and install. I want to save this to the normal dependencies. Cool. And then we can install OpenAI. Cool. So let's open the IDE again. The first thing that we want to do is set the Express server to use the body parser, like this. And the Express server should also use cores. And then we have to import them this and like this. Thank you, Copilot. Then I want to create a endpoint, same as we mentioned in the service, which is /API/images. So let's have a look at the OpenAI documentation. And it says that we can request a image like this. Copy this, put it in our index.js file, configuration here to make it more clean, configuration, and then the OpenAI, and then the response. Okay, the response will probably need to put in the in here. And because it uses an await operator, we have to add link to the anonymous method. Cool. So the response in here will prompt with a cute baby sea otter. Will prompt for 2 images this size. And we can send this back to the front end with think response.data. And then we also have to create a new OpenAI key. We can do like this. View API keys, then create a new secret key. Copy it. And please do not try this API key yourself because I will delete it after the video. Thank you. So we can use this API key in 2 ways, or we can hard code it in here, or we can set it via environment variables. Of course, via environment variables is better, so let's do that. Let's open up the terminal. OpenAI AI key is key that we just copied, and then I want to start a node server of the index.js file. Cool. Example app listening on port 3000. So when I go to localhost 3000 on the API slash images endpoint, then it should show a result. And if we have some patience, then indeed it shows some result. Cool. We can see that there's an object with 2 properties, I think, with created and data. And data are just objects with 1 property called URL. And what I want to send back to the front end is just a list of the URLs. Let's do that. So we can map this to response data. Then we can do a map. If data of the data I want a URL, that should be something like this. When I restart the server, and I request the images again. Okay. Cool, it seems to be working. This also means that we can test out the front end. Test. Maybe we should do a refresh first and then test. Error connection used. Oh yeah, because of the port is still different. Well, let's change that. Port 3000. Okay, and the images are coming in. As you can see, we see some cute sea otters now and 2 images. Okay, this is because the 2 images and the sea otter are hard coded in the backend. So now we have to pass in the parameters from the frontend to the backend. Open the service again, and this method now takes in 2 parameters, one for the prompt, and one for the number of images. It's going to be a number. Just going to add the parameters like query parameters like this: prompt, and ns number of images. Ooh. Now we can pass in the prompt in here. Now the value, which is actually our prompt, and let's give it a hard-coded number of images for now, 3. So now we should always get 3 images back if we update the API at least. So let's update the API again. Let's get query parameters from the request. So prompt and the n query. We can pass in the prompt like this, and then we can add the prompt in like this, because if we would do it like this, prompt, then it will not work, because the prompt in here is not actually a string, but it is something else. And then this one we should parse it to an int, and radix. I think that's it. So I think this should suffice for the API. So let's restart the server. And now that the server is restarted, we can test out the frontend application again. I want to generate a photo of a cute dog sitting on a table eating a bone. So we can be very specific, I think. So let's see what kind of results we get. Images are loaded. Cool. Goes. But this is a dog eating a bone. This one as well, sitting on a table, and then the last one as well. So maybe we can test it out once more. A rainbow cat singing a song. Who knows what kind of results we get now. As you can see, we see some rainbow cats singing. This should give you a very good idea how you can use the OpenAI Images API and Angular to create your own image generator application. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, hit subscribe, and I see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.